And welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast with my partners Brian Siegler, Jonathan Talley, Shelton Moss. I am Curtis Wilson. And this portion of the Boundary Corner podcast is brought to you by Dr. Lord Jeremy Counts at the Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg. If you love this podcast, the Hokies in the town of Blacksburg, make sure you are supporting Main Street Pharmacy whenever you make your way to town.
Whether you need prescriptions, a tube of toothpaste, or just want to stop and say hello, let Jeremy and his team take care of you. Money you spend in the Main Street Pharmacy goes towards the things you support. The next time you're in Blacksburg, head on down to 301 South Main Street. Fellas, what's happening? Good to see everybody. We got the 4-box here.
Haven't seen Lakers.
4-box in a while. Lakers, whoop.
I needed Talley and Siegler salty tonight, Sheldon. The Lakers had to go and win last night. They gonna be all happy during this broadcast.
Oh, we still ain't happy yet. We got a long way to go. We happy about that win, but we got a long way to go. Fuck the war.
It's gonna be a really good series.
I think so.
It is. I hope it goes to game.
The first series of 4-time champs and 2-time MVPs.
It's impressive. It's an impressive series, man.
A lot going on, man.
Been a while since we all got together, so decided to do that tonight. Got a lot of stuff to unpack because some things over the last few weeks we kind of skipped over. Some on purpose.
Blue. We're gonna unpack some stuff tonight.
We're gonna unpack some stuff tonight. Oh man. Well, maybe Ricky will chime in with some chat tonight. So, but we got a ton of stuff. We are going to be looking at 19 plays from the spring game that Siegler has kind of broken down, and we've all kind of had a look at second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time for some of us. And we've got other stuff to unload from a data standpoint on the spring game with Shelton in a while here. But let's start with this first, guys. NFL draft was last weekend. Let's give a huge shout out, congratulations to Jamari Connor.
BCP alum.
BCP alum, exactly. On this very program just a few short weeks ago. And I think for some people, it surprised me. I was out buying a shed on Saturday when he got drafted. I think a few rounds higher than most people think. What do you think, Shelton?
Yeah, I mean, probably a little bit, but he's like a versatile guy. Can play multiple positions, kind of like a Swiss Army knife in the secondary, and just like overall, just a smart, solid footballer. Like he doesn't make a lot of dumb mistakes. So, I mean, in hindsight, like you can come out a team with one guy like that.
I'm gonna say this. I'm a Titans fan, and a couple of years ago, we drafted Caleb Farley. Shout out to Caleb. I was fucking livid. I knew what was going to happen. And I'm thinking, for my NFL team, for what we need, don't make that pick. But me being a Virginia Tech fan takes me back to if you are a DB and you come to Virginia Tech, you got a shot.
Yes, you do.
That name still carries some weight. If you are a decent DB to a good DB at Virginia Tech, it may take you a round higher than you were supposed to go. So, not saying anything bad about Shamar, because like Sheldon said, he's a great football player. He's very smart, very versatile. But if you are a DB, we got to start selling. We got to start back selling that, man. You got an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean that's big because I think people had like a late 5th round grade on him, as I think the general consensus was late 5th, and he kind of goes in that just on the back half of the 4th there. So I mean that's pretty big for him, and I mean
and to the world champs.
And to the champs.
And went to the Chiefs. Going around early is no big deal, man. That's a little bit of extra change in the pocket, man.
Yeah,
more dough for him. And you know what? The coolest part, did y'all see the Chiefs? What they tweeted out like the day after he got drafted? You remember that hit he got flagged on? That perfect coverage he did. He got flagged on for being too close, and they were like, that was what kind of sold them. Like what Sheldon said, he's versatile. He can also play special teams, not just play special teams, but excel at special teams.
Yeah.
Even though they're trying to get rid of that in the NFL, and you hate to see it because so many guys live there. But, how about shout out just to a few more guys? I know Silas got signed. Dax is getting a chance with Jacksonville. Same with Blue and Blumrick with the Bears and Chiefs collectively. So, guys getting the shots, that's what we all want to see. But now let's start here. because this is fun. This is where y'all get to learn to know us. I'm going to start in order here. Brian, with the 4th pick in the draft, how did you feel about that pick, but then the remainder of the Colts draft?
You know what? I really like the pick considering who already went off the board. Because to me, there was 2 ways to go about it. You were either going to get the most polished kid that has some question marks in terms of size and durability. That's Bryce Young. Or you take a shot with the highest ceiling player at the position in the draft, and that's Anthony Richardson. And so if you told me that at 4, Bryce Young was off the board and we took AR, I'm happy with it. I've seen this guy. He looks good. Athleticism is off the charts. Seems to be high football IQ guy. The question is just going to be, can some of the throwing tools catch up with everything else? But I just think, it's for what we needed and where we were picking, I think it's a home run. And the rest of the draft was just kind of a by the books, filling the needs with the best available. I know we traded down a lot, kind of, leading off there in day 2, and then we kind of got into the groove there. We got a lineman in there. We got a cornerback. Got a tight end. Got another interior lineman. So I think the draft overall was good for us. We really kind of filled the needs we needed, and I think got good value everywhere we picked.
All righty. Tally. I'm going in order here, by the way.
Oh, you are.
His team pick first. Your team pick next.
Yeah.
I know you were good on Thursday night when I texted you.
Oh yeah. I mean, we needed a tackle. I didn't know what tackle we were going with. I liked the kid from Ohio State. I guess the best out of the tackles that were in, but of course he wasn't going to be there when we picked at 11. So with him being gone, I think they made a good pickup from the kid from Northwestern. He was a All-American, and he's a good football player. If you go watch his tape and stuff, and it's hard to evaluate linemen for people who don't look at it, but I mean, he's a good tackle, which is what we need. I mean, we got Derrick Henry, which is a house of a running back in the backfield, but if you don't have a line to protect the running game and you don't have people to throw the ball to, and you don't have anybody to give him a break, then we got some trouble. So again, we had to get rid of some people just through free agency and things like that. So it takes me to the next pick. I wasn't too happy about the quarterback pick just because I'm not a huge Levis person. Like I hope he does well, but I get the same feeling that I did when they picked up Malik Willis. Like that's a personal thing. I just was not happy with that pick.
Sally, to me, I feel like we dodged the bullet and then we kind of handed you the grenade.
I would have much rather tried to go get somebody in free agency and use that pick on somebody else, maybe a wide receiver or something. But again, that's why they get paid the big bucks. Hope the kid goes out there and kills it. He just reminds me too much of Tannehill. Like they look too much similar to me for what they do. I hope that they prove me wrong, but we did pick up some other people in that. I was personally, wanted to get a couple of other running backs, but after watching and looking at the running back that we got from Tulane, he's solid. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is definitely a good thing. Should be a good change of pace if they have Derrick Henry still there next year and bring him in. So overall, most people's giving us a A to a B plus on draft. So I'd probably give it about a B plus on our draft grade.
All right. Shelton, which this is the first time I found out he's a Commies fan.
Mm-hmm.
And respect on that. I know you were we messaged you. You were like, we needed a cornerback. We got a cornerback in the first round. The rest of the draft, anybody you like in particular?
Yeah, they actually double loaded on cornerbacks. I can get the name in a sec. Jartavius Martin was their second pick. So they took Mississippi State. I think the stat I saw was that he led all active FBS players in pick sixes with 6. I think he had like 14 career interceptions. So obviously, Kendall Fuller is a free agent at the end of this, so they're probably not going to re-sign him. So they wanted some depth there. I think it was a little bit more of a defensive-oriented draft just because, kind of got the weapons on offense with McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Gibson running back, and then Logan Thomas, even though he can't really stay healthy at tight end. And then they're going to roll with Sam Howell quarterback, which I've got some reservations about, but that's just the plan right now. So they took a couple linemen too, so they got some insurance there. So overall, I'd give it like B minus. Like it's a solid draft. No one's going to really, it's not eye popping or anything, but I think they added depth where they needed to.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, let's move on then.
Yeah, Tally's got a quarterback that puts mayonnaise in his coffee now, so that's really all we need to talk about.
Dude, I ain't trying to hit it. Antavion left us to go play with that kid, so I'm still a little salty about that. I think
Even
that's
more
my main
salty.
reserve.
Well,
Yeah.
listen, for all y'all, guess what you didn't do? You didn't draft a kicker in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Okay? You didn't draft a freaking kicker in the 3rd round.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Oh, you want to talk about the rest of the draft? We did okay. Drafted one tight end in the 3rd round that should have went in the 7th, and after the 7th round that should have went in the 3rd. But I mean,
You
we ain't got that
never
many-
will get value from drafting a kicker at all,
no,
in my opinion, let alone in the 3rd round. I mean,
nope.
beyond the like 1 or 2 best in the league, everybody's more or less kind of in the same ballpark, unless you're at that kind of bottom 1 or 2.
And that's the point everybody's making is he now has to be an all-pro for 10 years.
Yeah,
Right.
to pay for it. So whatever. All right. Well, before we get into further football talk, we've got to flip it over to hoops. Not only because Shelton's back, but because there's been a lot of stuff happening since the last time we talked any hoops because we were focused on spring game and all that stuff. So Sheldon, let's start with this. It came. I felt it as a shock. I think these guys felt it as a shock too. Graham Basile moves over and goes to the Italian league, gets his Italian citizenship and all that. Is this something that was on your radar? Did you think this potentially could happen, or did it hit you out of left field like it hit us?
Yeah, I was actually a bit surprised. I thought he was coming back. I just felt like, he seemed like a kind of a team first guy. Not to suggest that he isn't, but it just seemed like, the vibes were pretty good. And that's what I heard from some of the insiders that know more than I do. So I was a little bit surprised. Obviously, Couture coming back, that was, expected. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see because Tech is going to kind of reload their front court, as we'll discuss. And they can survive without Basile, but at the same time, you look at his production, especially towards the latter half of last year. I mean, that's a good amount of production you got to replace. So it's not going to be it's going to be a tall task for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely he came in. He was, at moments last year was kind of the main scoring threat for the Hokies game to game. It's going to be a big loss. I mean, obviously, I think we got some guys coming in that can maybe potentially replace some of that by committee, but you're not going to have a singular player coming in that's going to be able to kind of do offensively what Basile was able to do at points last year.
No, there are very, if you look at the stats of guys of his stature around the high major basketball, there are very few guys who are as productive offensively all around as Basile was. In my opinion, I thought he got a little bit too much flack from some fans. He is a really, really talented offensive player. Defense kind of is what it is. That's not really his game, but he was extremely efficient. And so that's going to be a miss for sure.
Yeah, when you talk about, basketball and a lot of fans that are just normal fans, casual fans, it is very hard to be a two-way player. Me being a Laker fan and watching AD last night, that's a two-way player. When you talk about a defensive player, you get like Jared Jackson Jr., that's going to give you 14 points and guard the rim for you and stuff. It's hard to have that same player do what Basile's able to do. So you can't have it both ways a lot of times. You got great offensive player or great defensive player. So, and because you're exerting a lot of energy on both ends of the court. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they go, with them maybe getting some more talented guards. Are they going to rely on a big man to do what he does, or are they going to go deep? It's going to be fun to watch, I guess. So I'm hoping Mike Young surprises me and does some great things this year because I need to see it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing we've got to see. And obviously, You just kind of led into it a couple seconds ago, Shelton, with we needed to replace him with someone bigger. And lo and behold, they get Robbie Baran out of the portal from Northwestern. He's an RVA kid, played at Tucker, and he played at your alma mater's chief rival Collegiate here in the RVA, 6'9", 200 plus pounds. And I looked at his stat sheet and he's like that progressive player. He got a little better every year at Northwestern, right? Little better, never big jumps, but always just a little bit better. But you probably looked a little bit more detail. What is he bringing in along with, Makai Long and Tyler Nickel? How do you feel overall about the 3 transfers that came in?
Pretty solid. So talking about Baran, first of all, like you said, he's got experience. He was a 4-year player at Northwestern, started all 34 games last year, averaged about 7.5 and 5 on the glass. And particularly splits, he was not super efficient from 2. That's not really his game. He's a prototypical stretch 4, so he can light it up from 3. For being 6'9", he's a really good 3-point shooter, about 35%, and also a very good free throw shooter as well. So, he's a guy that has at Northwestern, he had a pretty low usage rate, meaning, he's not involved in the shooting and distributing as much as a guy like Justin Mutz, and doesn't play quite as many minutes typically that you would see from, a standard Mike Young big man. He's got a pretty slow release, so he's more like a catch and shoot 3-pointer. So he's not going to have huge volume for threes, like maybe 3 a game or so, but he does convert at a pretty high clip. So I think overall, in terms of the spacing, obviously that's a check mark, and a guy that's experienced and can bring some size. Rim protector, he's going to block a ton of shots, but obviously there's a lot more defense than just blocking shots. So overall, I think it's a pretty good pickup. And you mentioned Tyler Nickel, another guy who's got some size. I expect him to be, a backup. Obviously, provide some minutes at that 4 position. And then Makai Long, I haven't digged into his stats quite as much at Old Dominion, but I do know he's 6'7", pretty lanky and athletic. So I think he brings a dimension of athleticism and length to the team that is certainly sorely needed.
Yeah. So again, you lose a 20-plus point scoring facility, like you said. We're not going to be able to replace it with just one player. So hopefully a combination of these 3 with some younger guys stepping up, especially, knock on wood. And after this happens tomorrow, when people start getting in the portal, not losing players to the portal after Mike Jones left. I think that's a really big thing.
Definitely. Because, you can say it. Everybody was expecting somebody to leave. Everybody was expecting Rice to be already out, but it looks like he's still there and still working. No, it's a long time before the season starts, but, the longer he's there, the better. So, he's got the spot. He's got what he needs to play. And you're playing in the ACC. It's not much another school can offer him, besides, hey, we're going to win, and nobody really knows that. So, hopefully he stays and contributes.
Yeah, because looking at Maryland obviously being the particular offer here in place. If a spot opens up there, I feel like that's really the only big sway other than a true kind of blue blood that would step up and give him a spot on their roster because, like you said, playing in the ACC. Playing big time college basketball, I feel like that's a good draw, and he seems to be comfortable in the system that Mike Young runs. So, other than that relationship with Mike Jones, I don't really feel like there's a whole lot that will kind of change that up.
Yeah, and we sat here a year ago and we looked at all the transfers and stuff, and we saw how it all worked, and we were like, man, we're going to be a much better team this year, right? We're going to get in the tournament easy. And things just didn't click. Mm-hmm. And I know Hunter going down was big, but things didn't click. So it's one of those things where it's like the expectations last year were up here. I think for all of us, they're slightly more tempered this year than they were last year. So is it one of those things where we're going to get surprised? I think that's a big question we all will ask, because last year we were like, man, everybody's back. We got Grant. We saw him not only, we saw his numbers at Wright State, but we saw him in the tournament, right?
Right.
In that tournament game, like he lit it up, and it's like, okay, this guy can play against P5 competition. So it'll be interesting to see how it holds on. I do
basketball.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Basketball, the main thing is always injuries. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, you're talking NBA playoffs, and one injury changes the whole dynamic of a team. So when you talk about what Virginia, and it's no cop out because y'all know how I feel about the basketball team and Mike Young. I want him to win. I don't want the, shaking hands and kissing babies no more. They got to produce. So with that being said, though, I can't ignore that you only have, at the most 10 rotational players. And if 2-3 of your players go down who are, big parts of your offense or defense, you're in trouble. And, Couture went down and then Rice went down. Having those big injuries to not a very deep team, it was kind of like we was doomed from the start to me. Like some people was like, oh, we'll be fine and they'll be able to do this. But no, that's a big deal, especially when you look at the defense that Couture plays. Because you have to – like defense wins championships. You can score, and he can score. Everybody knows he can score, but it's underrated to what he does on the defensive part of the in getting that one stop against certain teams at that pivotal time. We just wasn't able to do it last year. So I feel like this year expectations should still be – I don't want to say as high, but still pretty high. But it just comes down to injuries because – Rice has a lot of potential, along with some of the people who, Padula, Couture coming back, them bringing in some of the transfers. Like, they can definitely still have a great team or a very good team. It just comes down to how healthy do we stay, in my opinion.
It's true. All right.
Yeah. Now, getting Rice for a full season, knock on wood, health-wise, is going to be big.
All right. Now, where my expectations for the men's team are tempered, my expectations for the ladies' teams are like here, like seriously, like through the roof. And they got 3 young ladies from the transfer portal. I don't know much about them. Shelton, I know you got some info, so we're going to definitely let you lead this. We got Matilda Eck from Michigan State, Alana Michoud from Minnesota, and Olivia Sumanel from Wake Forest. Give us a little bit on each. How are they going to help this team, which was a Final Four team, up going into the fourth quarter against LSU this season?
Yeah. Educated.
Yeah, so sure. I think Eck is probably the most prominent one. She's a 6-foot guard / forward, so probably plays 3 a little bit. Started 28 games last year for Michigan State. About 12 points, 3 rebounds. But her shooting splits were absolutely off the charts. So she shot 40% overall, 39% from 3, and then 95% free throw line. Like, this girl has not missed free throws. But mostly, you focus on that 40% from 3. Her ability to shoot threes is going to really help the floor spacing because you add in Kayla King, who's lights out, Georgia Amore, who's lights out, and also a very high volume of attempts. That's going to open up a ton of spacing for Liz Kelly to do her thing in the paint. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for Eck. About 70% of her field goal attempts are from 3. So that's kind of her game. Like, she can, attack the basket a little bit. But she's really kind of like a 3-and-D type player. And then you got Alana Michaud, 6'2" forward, started 30 games last year at Minnesota. Another player who's, has some experience, averaged 14 points per game last year. She does not shoot 3. She's like an instant scorer. I think her value is going to be in providing some rest for Kitley because she's going to give us some depth at that forward position. So that's a big addition. And then also you got Olivia Sumil, who you mentioned, another forward. 33 games started last year at Wake Forest, 7 points, 5.6 rebounds. Pretty solid splits overall. I would suspect she comes off the bench, kind of like in that Deasia Gregg type of role. Just provide some defense and more experience again. So if you look at these 3 additions in total, what you see is 1, tons of experience, and all these ladies can score, and also just forward depth. Like, that's one thing that Tech always needs to make sure they have is forward depth, so that Liz can get some rest. I think with Carly Winslow, talented young redshirt freshman coming up the pipe for next year, Tech will have some depth for at the guard spot a little bit more than they did last year, so Amor can get a little bit of a break because I think Amor is probably playing about 7-8 minutes, especially in the stretch run last year. Like there were some games where I don't think she came out at all. So just having a player like that can score, and because everything we've heard about Winslow is she is an absolute dog. So I think we're gonna get her shine a little bit more next year. So like I said, last year's team, if they had any Achilles heel, it would have been depth. This year, Kenny's been kind of restocking that a little bit, so I think they're going to be a lot deeper than they were last season, and that's going to be big.
Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, like you said, if the one thing that they struggled with, especially as we saw down the stretch against LSU, was having some depth, and maybe being not quite as physical as what LSU was getting away with in that game. So, getting more depth is only going to help that situation and put them in a better position to kind of close games out against that higher level competition, which we saw some earlier in the year where they were struggling to kind of close out with some of those higher level competition, and then obviously they went on that big run when everything kind of clicked for them up until the Final Four there. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting to see how all these pieces kind of mix in and what Kenny Brooks is able to do with them.
So I think what we've got here is obviously, again, it's improving the team. I love the way you talked about the young lady shooting 40%, what the Michigan State transfer. Yeah. Because, I mean, we know Georgia and Kayla can shoot the lights out. And you put another 4. I mean, that just – I can only imagine teams' defenses where it's like, well, we need to guard Kitley. We can't bleep and double Kitley anymore. Why? Because we've got 3 people that can shoot 40% from 3. If we give them looks, they're going to knock them down.
And free throws.
And free throws.
95% free throw shooting.
And I like what you meant. I like what you and Shelton mentioned it, like she can take it off the dribble some, right?
Yep.
She's not just that shooter, and it's gonna be like times like just go after the basket. Go after the basket, please.
Get you a free 2 points.
Free 2 points, exactly. All right, so we're gonna close the door on Castle Coliseum, and we're gonna walk back over to Lane Stadium, boys, because the spring game was a couple weeks ago. We had an episode. And the portal has been flooded ever since. So I'm going to kind of take this room by room. Y'all give me shocked, not shocked. But let's start with the quarterback room first. I'll let you start it out, Tally. Taj Bullock and Devin Farrell hit the portal. Any shock, any not shock, any you wish they would have stayed?
Not shocked. I mean, I liked Devin Farrell. I didn't like him wearing number 7. But, I like Devin Farrell from what I've seen of him. But not shocked because you don't need 6 people in a quarterback room. You don't need 5 people. You when you're scrapped on what you have as far as scholarships, you can't have 5 people in a quarterback room. So, all the best to the kids, but not shocked.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tally. Just looking at Bullock and Farrell, it seemed like their time was up. You had the younger guys coming in. You had Pop coming in. You had Whitkey coming in, and then you had Drones that came in, which came in as being the guy competing for the starting job.
Right.
That's your 4 right there. They kind of put Bullock and Farrell in a spot where if they didn't beat out Pop Watson, which it seemed like they hadn't for that number 3 spot heading into the fall. It was time for them to look at some other options. So I mean, best of luck to them, but definitely not shocked in terms of expectation there.
What I like about what I've seen with the team and with the transfers and things like that. With the last regime, it's like everybody who transferred, we got a horror story. You know what I'm saying? Somebody lied to me. Somebody did this to me. Somebody kicked me in the nuts. It was always some bullshit. Like we got some kind of freaking house of horrors every time somebody left. I really think that the coaches have been honest with these kids and say, hey, this person is performing better than you. We may need to help you look elsewhere. And that's football. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that I think Pry's been very honest and candid in his delivery when he talks to the media. And I think, again, I'm not in the room, or the locker room, I think that the delivery that he's given the players has been the same. So it looks like these kids have gone out and competed, and when the chips fall where they may, it looks like sometimes it's time for people to move on. So I hope everybody lands on their feet. Sometimes kids got to, they got to move down. Sometimes you got to move down to a Division II or, maybe not a Power 5 school to get your shot. So I love to see kids go somewhere else and get a shot, unless you're Hendon Hooker and you go to Tennessee and you get drafted. They show you Virginia Tech highlights. I was crying. I was so happy for the kid, but I was crying.
Man,
they were showing us Virginia Tech highlights.
Why they do that to us? Why they do that?
I'm like, man, he had enough highlights. He had enough highlights from Tennessee. Why we go back to the Virginia Tech highlight?
Why they do that to us? Sheldon, I'm assuming no shock for me with these two guys.
No, I mean you're not gonna have like 6 quarterbacks in a room all stay. You figure only a couple are gonna play. It's not all surprising, especially in today's day and age. So,
all right, good deal. Let's flip over, stay on the offensive side of the ball, and go to the wide receiver room. And Brian, kind of a tough one for you to swallow, man. Dylan Wright, somebody you fell in love with several years ago, loved his route running, gone, as well as Christian Moss. Christian Moss not transferring out is what I've read, what we've heard, but he's just effectively no longer on the team. And we know that happens sometimes. But, I mean, that's another one of those rooms, right? There's like 14 people in there. Yes, you need to carry a lot of wide receivers, but 14 is just absurd.
And we talked about that a little bit last time because we talked about, all right, who's going to be, that 4 and 5, maybe 6 wide receiver that steps up. And then we kind of saw, all right, we had Tucker step up. We had Steven Gosnell step up. So, guys that were smaller players on the team last year took some big steps in the offseason on top of us bringing in 3 solid transfers at the position. So guys start getting pushed down the line there. And, unfortunately for Dylan Wright, I mean, injuries kind of derailed his development. And he's a guy that could never just stay healthy long enough to improve and climb the depth chart. And then you got Christian Moss, who's kind of been banged up, not as serious as Wright, but kind of off and on banged up throughout his time as well. And, just seemed like he couldn't kind of find a spot in that new rotation. Seems like he's a guy that loves Virginia Tech. If he's going to stay at Virginia Tech and kind of stay on, just for, have a football retirement there. But sad to see those two go. But it's definitely difficult when you have that many mouths to feed in the receiving room.
Yeah, similar sentiments from me as well. It was Dylan Wright. Never really got to see him do much because of injuries. Christian Moss was kind of looking forward to him on the field, but it all comes down to what have you done for me lately? You know what I'm saying? You hate to say it that way, but when you go and you see, Holloway producing and getting better, and you see Gosnell take a next step, and that he's a guy that can play at this level. I mean, he was at North Carolina, then he comes here. And he has some production last year. So you can get lost in the shuffle. And it's another thing that Fontel is bringing in. Like, if you look at our recruits from last year, those wide receiver recruits are legit, Aiden Green already being there and getting some praise, and seeing him on the field and getting some burn. It's deep in that position, man. And if you ain't, it's like Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first, you're last. It's like, it makes no good. It doesn't do you any good to be 7th or 8th on that depth chart because you're probably not playing. We're
going to look at it later, but even Latrell Sutton getting behind the secondary in that game, even though he didn't haul it in. But I mean, he was out there showing what he can do. So it's
they're fighting, man. I think all of them are competing. Watching this team and watching the transfers and I think everybody's competing. So I need to see some of that competition turn to some W's in the fall.
There you go. Absolutely. Got a couple more things to go through here. We'll hit the defensive back / linebacker room next, where we saw Jalen Hoyle, who had effectively moved from safety over to Sam during the spring. Elijah Hughes, cornerback. We'll see I think we got his highlight, unfortunately, up there for a little while. and Cam Johnson. Of those three, I think the first two doesn't shock anybody. I think Cam Johnson shocked everybody. But Brian, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Sheldon, I hope you had a chance to listen. Brian was like, Cam Johnson didn't look good out there. He looked
was getting
smaller.
worked.
He got worked. He looked smaller. He was still listed at 165 pounds, right at 6 foot tall. He'd been in the program over a year and had no significant developments with his body.
Right.
That's a big thing to me. You see most guys get in within a year, they're up 15, 20 pounds. They look cut. They looked ripped. They look stronger. And it wasn't that way with him. I think it shocked us because we saw him on the field and we felt like, okay, that could be something there. But now I look at that room and I'm a little worried about that room. We'll hit it in just a moment here. But, anything to add to any of those three guys, any of y'all?
Just like Cam Johnson, from what I've seen, like he had a significant injury last year, right? Which was during the year. He didn't have a knee injury or something.
Shelton?
He had some kind of injury. Yeah, Cam Johnson. I thought Cam Johnson had some kind of injury.
I thought he missed some weeks because of a tweak. I don't think he was out.
Okay. Well, I was thinking he had some kind of injury, but he definitely looked small, man. And if you're working on getting bigger and getting longer, he was small and no significant gains. So kind of getting pushed around in the spring game. If you're getting pushed around in the spring game, like when we go and we play whoever, pick somebody. Yep. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be good. So I was surprised to see him in the transfer portal, but I can understand why. Because, I mean, again, talking about the wide receivers, DB is going to be similar. Like, they're bringing in a lot of kids that are very talented. A lot of these kids already kind of have some college bodies. I mean, if you go look at Mose Phillips, he can step on the field and play somewhere.
Exactly.
I ain't saying he'll start, but you can put him in. He can play
the same way, man. Cotman's already big. And
Flemings is not even there yet. Fleming's not there. There's a couple other kids that look that part. So go ahead, Brian. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You good? I was just looking at it, like looking at Cam's skill set is pretty much similar to how it was when he first came in. I mean, he's good when he's in man coverage. Just follow a man, chase a man. He's fine. He gets lost in zone coverage. And if he's got to press against a bigger receiver, he's going to struggle too. So he's at some point, we got other guys that can do these things better, or at least as good. I kind of felt like, the spring game was his chance to say, all right, I can lock down that 4th spot, maybe that 5th spot in that cornerback room. And he just did not do enough to do that. And I feel like he's going to take an opportunity to see if he can be that for some other team. Because I just don't think he's going to be able to do it in this room. So,
yep. Shelton,
not as big of a shock as I thought.
Shelton, anything on his injuries last year? I saw you, and we said that it looked like you jumped in. And did he get injured? I don't recall him being injured.
I just looked it up. He did have an injury in October. So I don't know what the extent of that was. Obviously, if you're injured, it's harder to put on weight.
Right.
I will say, given the fact that we have a nutrition center now, if you're not gaining weight with that thing in there, like that's a problem. I mean, like, and we got a new strength staff. Like you can't have that. Like you guys are talking about the wide receivers. I'm someone who believes that you can kind of see potential right away. And I think in this situation, you just didn't have any sort of production there. So it's not too surprising in hindsight. Obviously, there's a lot more talent in that we can work with.
Yep. And it's funny you mentioned like the weight and stuff. And it's like Mansour came in, I think at 165 too last year. He's up to 180 already. Like you said, like you just said, Shelton, there's that nutrition center that is literally building a plan to get the kids bigger, stronger, faster. When there's no development, okay, are you following the plan? So very interesting. One last piece that I think we said it. We've said it in chats. We've said it to each other on text messages. There's going to be one that we didn't see coming. I thought Cam Johnson was it. But again, looking back, listening to what Brian and them said and then seeing the weight, it wasn't him. But Tally, unfortunately, one of your BMFs is in the PORTAL, and that was Tyree Moyes in the defensive end. And it's a place where we need depth. I I don't know what to say about this because he had some okay moments in the spring game. So,
I'll let Tally lead on this one since that's his boy.
Well, I mean, again, big body. Watching him on the field, he was a big guy, and I'm just gonna say when you're moving people in positions that you need help in, hopefully you're doing that because you're bringing somebody else in. So I'm hoping that it's a means to an end.
Yeah.
And they going, hey, we got something coming. You're gonna have to slide a little bit, and sometimes people don't want to do that. So we'll see in the next couple of days.
I saw more flashes from Burgos than I did from Moisten in terms of on-field stuff.
Definitely.
On-field stuff. Now, obviously, Moisten's got the body that you want at that position.
Right.
Yes.
So that's where it's going to be a loss, I think, long-term is that, where was his ceiling? We're not going to get to realize that, based on his body type. But I know with defensive end, a lot of times if you don't flash early, you're not going to flash.
Right.
We're not going to see it. So it's really hard to kind of see if he had already kind of reached more or less his ceiling, and he's looking for some other opportunity or what. But like I said, I saw a little bit more from Burgos than I did from Moisten in the spring game in terms of kind of that second line there. But yeah, I'm definitely with you, Tally, in that hopefully there is a plan in place to not only help with the depth, because obviously this creates a depth problem regardless of where Moisten was in terms of ceiling and ability. But if we can do something to raise the overall top end of that room as well, and then by default create depth downstream by some guys that may have already been in that 2 or 3 role in the spring, that's going to be even better.
All right, Brian, but we're going to get into where we feel we should add. But Brian, did you get what I sent you?
Yeah, I did.
Can you pull that up real quick? This is actually a good test run for what we're going to do in a few minutes here with the tape.
Yeah, I'll put it on here.
Y'all need to see this, boys. Y'all need to see this. From our All-American true freshman defensive back, sending out a little cryptic tweet here.
I've been watching LeBron. LeBron comes with them cryptic tweets, man. I'm telling you.
All right, here it comes. This is Mansour Lane about 22 minutes ago. His job just got a whole lot easier. We know y'all there are a lot of people visiting right now. Now, I'm not going to speculate names, but I'll ask y'all. He's saying his job just got easier. Where do y'all think we should add, and could this be one of those positions? Go ahead, whoever wants to lead.
I mean, I'll lead. Yeah, I'll lead. If he's saying, if a cornerback is saying his job got easier, that means he's not having to cover as long as what I'm thinking.
That's what
as a football fan. That means you're getting some pressure on the quarterback. So we better be bringing in some defensive line and some defensive end pressure. Again, you got Moisten to the left, and then you got a cornerback saying his job got easier. He ain't talking about playing with another cornerback, I don't think. No,
and one of those rushers was in Blacksburg last night. So,
So I seen some pictures on Instagram.
Okay.
If y'all are listening, you better start doing some detective work like we do over here.
Throwing some tea leaves at you.
Yeah, you better start following some tea leaves. I'm not your source. I'm not gonna give you anything until something goes, because I do not want to kiss of death and be burnt. But I will say, not just that tweet. Anybody who's a Twitter person, in the Twitterverse, there has been a lot of movement in the last hour or so from the staff, and not just, it wasn't normal stuff. It started maybe last night. I think Fontel retweeted a "This is home" tweet from like December.
From Lino.
Lino
back in December 7th.
I'm like, what is that? But you never know, man. I will say these coaches are working. I'm excited that they are excited. So it seems like they genuinely like recruiting, and once we start landing a couple of these big fish, and when I say big fish, I'm just saying, even if it's a person that's filling a need for us,
that's big.
Doesn't have to be a 4 or 5 star, but if he's feeling the need and he's able to get in and play, that's big for us. So once we start putting people in places and start letting those people produce, recruiting just gets that much easier. If you get Allie Jennings come in from ODU and have a great year and gets drafted, and he walks across there with his Virginia Tech highlights, I mean,
yep,
your job just gets easier. So
easier and easier. Okay, we all agree with this, that defensive line is one without a doubt. Defensive line edge is one. Do y'all agree that somebody on the interior offensive line is the second biggest?
Or center.
Right guard, somewhere like that?
Yes.
And probably with Johnson leaving, obviously that fourth spot is up for grabs in the cornerback room. That we've got to get one defensive back. And it's not necessarily saying that DB room is not good. That DB room is, you can argue between that and the linebacker room. What's the better of the two?
The first
They're
three
good,
are very good. It's just there's a lot of unproven behind them.
And
right.
Brian, you pointed out time and time again last year when we did recaps, we fucking got tired at the end of the games because there was nothing behind anybody. When the fourth quarter came, guys were gassing the secondary because they literally had played every snap of the game because there was nothing behind them.
It got even worse when Strong went down, obviously.
Yeah, you got to have depth, man. Got to have depth, man. So
all right.
That's what we need. That's what we want. That's what helps you win football games. And most of the time you expect to have a little bit of a drop-off from your first to your second team, in your rotation. It's supposed to be a little bit of a drop-off, but if you can keep that drop-off minimal, then you can win some football games that way. So hoping that's what we're headed to.
Let's hope. All right, let's hit real quick here because we still got a lot to unload, but I want to go real quick. We got two commits we did not discuss. The first was Tyler Mason, running back, Mount Airy, North Carolina, 3-star, top 20 player in the state of North Carolina per 247. I mean, it's close. I know Mount Airy's a pretty good program down there.
We're tapping into the Frank Beamer motherland.
I mean,
I'm gonna trust the staff because from me, just me watching, I watched a little bit of his film, and what I like to see is when I watch some film, can he come in and jump somebody who's here? You know what I'm saying? Watching his film, I don't know that he could. I don't know that he's better than anybody that I've seen in that room right now. But again, that was a junior film. I've looked at some film and I go, wow, I feel like he can play right now. So didn't really move the needle for me, but I can understand the taking the commitment. We have another one of his teammates committed as well, right?
Yes, we do. We got the big 6'4", 215 pounds. As soon as I said 6'4" a couple weeks ago, Tally, that's good enough.
Right.
He's tall enough. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Looking at Tyler Mason, I mean, they run that split veer at Mount Airy, so you get a lot of those downhill dive runs, that veer, and he's a guy that's going to get you some good yardage. He's got a little bit of wiggle, but I like how he finishes his runs, but he doesn't have a whole lot of like elite breakaway speed.
Right.
So I don't see a lot of home runs out of him, but he's a guy that can kind of work between the tackles pretty well and get some solid yards.
Yep. And like you said, it's only his junior tape. So we know how guys develop, and there's also reasons why they're taking guys, and maybe he ain't staying at a running back. All right, one more commit to talk about. That would be Emmett Laws, 6 foot, 260 pounds. And this is what I love to hear. DeMatha Catholic in Hyattsville, Maryland. When you start going to get that school, and Shelton's shaking his head because he knows, right? You start getting players from DeMatha, says something. Elijah Brooks pays off pretty quickly. And we all said it right before we got on here tonight. He reminds us of a typical Virginia Tech defensive tackle. He just does.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of looks like one of the Hopkins twins clones.
Yeah.
Does he play like them though? He plays like them. Give me 4 more like him, and we're still winning.
I mean, he's got good motor. He's a guy that can, he plays bigger than his size is, so that's always what you like to see. Whether that translates to Power 5 level, we'll see.
Right.
But I like the way he kind of gets in the lane and creates a little bit of havoc there. Could probably work on his hands a little bit, but that's pretty much every high school defensive lineman that you look at. So
good to get in that school. Good to get in that school. That's all I say. DeMatha High School. I mean, that's where Lovett's from too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So again, the relationships is what pays off, man. You know what I mean? Because if you are where we are and you take a chance on some of these kids, especially now that the transfer portal is how it is, it's like you take this kid, he doesn't work out, there's a transfer portal. No harm, no foul. It didn't work. We bring somebody else in, you go find you somewhere else to go. Not saying that's going to happen with this kid, but I'm just saying with a school like that, if you take a player from there every year, 1 year you're going to hit a big player. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get a big player, whether it's they just are underrated and you develop them well, or they're just high rated and they come in and produce. So, yeah, you keep taking the DeMatha kids. Why not?
All the time. And Shelton, anything on any of these guys before we move over to your segment, sir?
No, I got nothing other than let's get that DMV pipeline going. I mean, we tried it with basketball. We got Mike Jones got Rice obviously, but if we can get a DMV pipeline, I think that's pretty good.
Excellent. Well, let's flip it over to you, man. You have kind of did some diving into the spring game statistics, and you want to talk about a few things. So, Shelton, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so just not too much here, but I think the biggest thing I noticed from this year's spring game was mainly the increased explosive plays. Obviously, last year's spring game was pretty rough on the offensive side, which was a pretty big foreshadower of the ensuing offensive season for us. But you look at the data, the Maroon team had 16 plays of 10 plus yards and 5 plays of 20 more yards. It wasn't quite as good as the white team, but they still had 9 of 10 plus yards. So a lot more explosive plays, obviously with Base Shelton back. I really like his ability to make guys miss in space. He's got some good cutback ability as well. I noticed that they were getting some swing passes early in the game to kind of get guys out east and get them the ball in space, which was pretty good. Taquan Felton, he's got some burst. I noticed that watching the game. And then Bryce Duke as well. He averaged 5.3 yards per carry. I think our average last year for rushing was 3.1. So that does include sacks. It might be a little bit higher, but that's pretty rough. I think last year, I haven't checked our explosive plays numbers from last year. My assumption is they were not great. Probably not as bad as our success rate overall was. But you can immediately tell like this team has more playmakers, and I think if they can get at least those 10 plus 20 plus yards, that's going to go a long way to helping sustain drives, because you can't really rely on this team. I think at this juncture, based on the offensive line, you can't really rely on them to create 12, 14 play drives. That's just not I don't think they do with the offensive line the way it is right now. So if you can kind of get those big plays to kind of lessen how many plays you have to score, that's gonna be big time.
Yeah, when we were looking at it, me and Tally were there at the game. I mean, we saw consistently more offensive movement, especially obviously on the Maroon side. But for the white side, if Drones wasn't getting sacked, they were moving the ball. It was just Drones was getting sacked and they couldn't run the ball because that offensive line there was such a discrepancy between the white offensive line compared to the Maroon offensive line. But when they had time, they were making some things happen in the passing game. It's nice to see more. You talked about the explosive plays. We didn't see those kind of intermediate, those 15 to 20, 25 yard gains a whole lot last year. It was either a whole lot of dink and dunk and then the occasional deep ball to Caleb Smith that would go for 40 or 50 yards. But there wasn't those consistent plays that kind of get you down the field quick.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of mix in the running game 1 or 2 times and all of a sudden you get a 15 or 20 yard game. Now you're back in
well, if we talk about it too much, we'll get Curtis back on his soapbox. You can't in the format that we had the spring game. It's so hard because we don't have a deep team,
No.
and you can't see everybody do what they can do for real. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't have enough. So again, spring game, we got to go back to it. I know Curtis could run a whole segment on what we might can do a little bit different.
Yes.
But it's like that's why we get ready for the season. Because once you see all of the playmakers on the offensive side of the ball on the offense, it looks like we are in a much better position than we were last year. Again, I don't know where that falls into the season, but I know that we're better than we were last year on offense, and I know that we have people that they're going to have to game plan for. Go ahead, Curtis.
It's what Shelton just said, though. The amount of explosive plays, most people think explosive plays, they think 25, 30 yards. Mm-hmm. Thank you for categorizing that, Shelton, to saying it's 10 plus is considered an explosive play.
Right.
But it's not only, listen, Marines numbers are great. The white numbers, though, you said 10, right? Or 9 plays of 10 yards or more.
Yeah, so we had 9 plays of 10 plus yards for the white team. And
think how bad that offensive line was.
Right.
And then everybody go mentally last year to the white team.
Nothing.
Game.
Nothing.
I mean, nothing. So what you're saying is if we're kind of doing like a comparative analysis, the spring game last year, everything has taken a very, very good step up, regardless. If you're able to find that stat, what our explosive plays were last year, there weren't many. Like Brian said, it was either dink and dunk. Occasionally we'd hit a shot, but you can't win games like that. You can't. Mm-hmm. And by Shelton giving us this info about having, over 15 plus plays combined on both sides of 10 plus yards and having 5 of 20 plus yards, that just tells you that the needle is moving better for the offense. I'm not concerned about the defense. I'm not. Well, people are like, they gave it up but you know what? I saw this defense last year keep us in games. A competent offense wins 3 of those games. I know Tally, you said, no, was it Tally? Which one of y'all texted me that said State was an anomaly?
Brian.
I said State was an outlier.
Bullshit,
Brian. I didn't believe it.
Bullshit. If we had a decent offense, because their defense or their offense was so hampered by having their injuries, if we had any semblance of an offense, we win that game too.
Yeah. And you got to understand, I don't know they were pretty bad off that game. If you go back and look at our offensive production that game, it was nothing in the first half.
It was literally a 9-minute stretch in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was nothing in the first half, and then we came out and we hit right with like a tight end drag or something, like first play of the third quarter, and it's like, okay, we got something. So, yeah, Brian, go to hell.
You go to hell, Brian. We would have won that game.
We good.
So, what else you got for us? Anything else you noticed? Any other data you've been able to pull in the last few weeks?
Data too much, I would say. A couple things. The sacks, not great. I think we had a 60% sack rate as a team. Ideally, you'd like to get that below, 10%, maybe 8%. So that can be fixed. And then I will also say, you guys are going to talk about this when we go over the clips. But guys, now I thought his route running was very, very good.
Yes.
He's very crisp the way he stems his routes and makes sharp like that. Route running goes a long way in terms of generating separation. We combine that with good passing concepts. You can get guys open. So it's not just about the speed or the athleticism. It's how do you attack the deep? How do you run your routes? And I thought guys did a really good job.
I hate to be that guy, but I gotta say it. You got a white wide receiver. That's a great route runner. I was in there.
Exactly.
Hey, Wes Welker, that's kind of what I'm looking at him like, He had some good routes, man. Even on some of the plays that the ball wasn't thrown to him, he had he showed a route tree. It wasn't just a go. You know what I mean? Like he really did. He really was running crisp routes. So,
and like Shelton said, he did a good job of influencing the guys in the secondary so he could create that separation. That's going to be big.
Yep.
for us, because that's what we struggled with a lot last year was separation, full stop.
And we have so many. I mean, I feel like in the passing game, of course, we got to get this offensive line right. But in the passing game, I feel like we have so many different weapons to use. We have some deep stretch the field type guys. We have some intermediate type guys. We have some possession receivers. We have a couple of tight ends that can be mismatches and catch the ball. We have some blocking tight ends. This is some stuff that could get fun, man. You know what I'm saying? We can look at this thing as half empty or half full. I'm always a half full type guy. Offense, man, watching the stagnant offense that we had last year and just seeing what I've seen so far, it's like I'm excited. How can you not be excited?
I'm gonna say this now before I kick it over to break. The way the team has been restructured offensively is Tyler Bowen. If we improve significantly based on what we've done in the offseason, the wide receiver room, the quarterback room, potentially improving the offensive line maybe in the next couple weeks here, it's his show. If we still rank it 100 or below without seeing significant improvement with our eyes, his seat's going to be absolutely doused with gas and lit.
Yes.
All right. With saying that, before we get into the tape, because we got 19 plays to show y'all, we are going to take a quick pause from our digital partners.
As we take a quick break, we'd like to tell you about getting your free website report from our digital partner, Grassroots Digital Marketing Studio. They'll tell you how your website ranks on Google, on-site SEO, and social media. No commitment to buy anything. You can get your free report by visiting grassrootsdigitalstudio.com/free-website-report.
Are you tired of the stress and uncertainty of buying a used truck? AutoSageReports.com is here to help. AutoSageReports.com's platform provides detailed vehicle history report to help you make an informed decision. For a limited time only, you can start your 7-day trial for just $1 and search up to 50 vehicles in 1 month. Don't miss out on this amazing offer. Head to AutoSageReports.com/Boundary Corner to start your free trial today. Again, go to AutoSageReports.com/Boundary Corner to start your free trial today.
And big thanks to AutoSage for sponsoring this portion of the episode. Be sure to visit AutoSageReports.com/Boundary Corner or scan the QR code you'll see on your screen. Brian, show's yours, buddy.
It's time.
Hold on, before we turn it over to Brian. Brian, you get yourself ready. We got to give a shout out to our good buddy Justin Smith. He had a couple things to say on Twitter this week. I think he said another podcast was the only VT podcast you need to listen to. Hey, I love those guys. Them motherfuckers ain't watching film. We about to break film down, Justin. What you got to say now? We got a fucking analyst. Let me see. That way, we got a fucking analyst sitting right here, man. Hey, we breaking tape down over here. Justin, get your ass in here, and we're going to show you how the coaches do this thing. We love Justin, though. That's my guy. Go ahead.
All right, we good.
We good
I like
now.
That. I like that. I like the way you set that up. All right, getting the tape ready here, guys. So the first play we're looking at, and let me get this shared here.
Well, first thing we're going to look at is, I'm going to set it up while Brian's pulling it up. Effectively, the first 4 plays we're going to be looking at here are run plays, and basically how we look like dog crap last year to this year. Well, just what we saw at the game itself, overall, run game looks better. So let's start with play 1, Brian.
Yeah, so play 1 we got here. Coming out, we got shotgun trips right. You're going to see a little read option. We're going to see Bryce Duke with a long run here. I'm going to go ahead and play it here. We'll look at it one time, and then we'll run back through it slow.
Right there.
Got a little wiggle to him.
Little wiggle.
I
I
like
like that. All right, we'll run it back. Let's look at some of the blocking here.
This is the maroon line. So you got Parker, Schick, Smash Brothers, and Brody Meadows, along with I think is that Cole Pickett?
Yeah.
Cole Pickett on the bottom there.
Yeah, and I mean, what you like to see here, you get some good double teams in the middle. Get some movement. You see Parker getting up to the next level here. Going to wall off that mic. And I like the angle that Bryce takes here. He gets really tight to where the line, where the push is, before bending it back. That gives them the opportunity to get past that DN that's kind of slow playing the zone read here. And I mean, good job. I mean, very elusive at the second level. He's running by some guys here. Really good move against Jalen Jones in the open field, and then finishes run pretty good here. Nice little finish there.
Doesn't
Pretty
quit
big
his,
run.
Good run, good wiggle, and he did what you're supposed to do, right? There's one guy. Beat that guy. It was the edge and it was the outside linebacker crashing. Beat him. And I like what you said, how he got tight. He was literally on, I think he was on Bob Schick's ass.
Yeah.
He was literally on Bob Schick's ass.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do there, because the way they were slow playing, like some defensive ends will attack the mesh point. Some, depending on who the quarterback is, will automatically crash down. They want to take away the run, make the less athletic of the two backs they are keeping. In this case, it would be the quarterback. In this case, they were slow playing it, kind of making the quarterback make a decision there. Good choice to give it, and good run there by Bryce Duke.
All
right.
So what we got from a second play here?
Yeah, so second play I'm pulling up now here. Let's take a look. This is a little closer to the goal line. This is towards the end of the first quarter. We already got 2 on the board, trying to punch it in a third one. Shotgun double wing. We got a split zone. Chance Black for the score here. This is a really good run, so I'm going to play it through one time and let you guys look at it.
We do not have it up on the screen.
Hang on. Let's try it again. Here we go. We'll run it back here. Good move there in the hole again. Kind of similar to what we just saw with Bryce Duke on the safety coming up to fill. We had a good kick out here by Benji Gosnell on Cole Nelson.
Tight end cleaning up.
Yep.
We got some solid double teams.
Yeah.
Right here and right here.
Watch the run though by Black. Watch it right. He's in the hole. He doesn't go straight at the guy. He cuts right there.
Yeah.
Cuts.
He sets that up a little bit.
He sets that up. Got that plant step.
And
although I have been told, I was told today, Chance Black sucks at everything. Just y'all know. I ain't mentioning Red at all, but
we named names. We naming names.
I said Red. Redneck.
Okay, we naming handles. I like the finish though. I like the finish because I mean he kind of gets some contact there at the 5 and he drags him in there.
What is that split zone concept? Go back if we can peek at it real quick.
Is that Johnson? Is Johnson 12?
Yes, Johnson is 12.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
That's him right there.
Once again, he's was small.
Very small. Very small.
He just got ran over.
But go back to the oh shoot, you already dropped it.
I'm good.
I was going to go back to where effectively I'll tell you when, just so you can. All right, right there. Okay, there's your split zone concept. Brian has mentioned several times. Explain what that is, Brian, because we're seeing it's basically they're doing this.
What a split zone does is you're blocking back against the guy you would normally read in the read option. So instead of leaving him unblocked, you're actually kicking him out with the tight end coming across the formation, which essentially changes the gaps for the defense, so it can create some confusion with that. Because you got a guy that you were accounting for over here moving all the way across the formation. And again, we did some good jobs there with the kick, and then, like I said, good double teams on both of the interior guys, and you got Caden Moore over there, kind of getting a good block with Schick, and then kind of getting up there and walling off that backer.
Mm-hmm.
Backer. Safety.
Got in there.
Again, I don't know for sure what our offense was doing last year. I don't even want to go back and try to watch it, but I think the concept of what Joe Rudolph may have wanted to do was more downhill running. Line up big on big. My guy's better than your guy. Let's push you down. And we fucking weren't better than their guys. And you ain't pushing the ball. So even if you look at that play and it doesn't go for a touchdown right there, if you can get 3 yards on a 1st and 10 or on any running play, that's good, which we hardly could do last year. So I think that the blocking that they have started doing, some of the zone blocking that we were doing that Crooks brought in, and maybe the way that the offense is going is definitely going to see us back to what Shelton say, have a little bit more explosive plays. So I'm excited about that.
That's what we need for sure. And here, talk about explosive plays. Here's one of those that Shelton was talking about. We got on this one, we got shotgun Y off trio. So we got trips here with the Y. And it's just power. We're going to see power here. And it's Chance Black showing good patience and reading his blocks and then kind of exploding outside and getting a big gain for us. So I'm going to run it through and let y'all look at it.
Back that up. That thing's buffering at the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why it's doing that.
And I mean, what you're seeing here, so this is supposed to be the guard kicking and the H kind of wrapping in the hole. That's the design. But because the defensive end is crashing here, you're going to see the guard kind of roll up and take that defensive end. And that means that the angle for the H has to be kind of a little bit tighter. He gets just enough, and then Black, really good job being patient there, letting Tisdale get caught in the trash a little bit and then bouncing out and getting another strong big run.
Doesn't look like he had a good stock block out there too.
Yeah,
right there.
Yeah, big time.
Who was that?
Around.
That's Sutton blocking. I can't tell who's on defense. Defense, y'all better get your shit. Oh, that's
Mansour. That's Delane getting owned right there.
Yeah. Defense, you better get your shit together. Maybe that's why he said his job getting a little bit easier.
Exactly.
Keep some of them people off of him. White, y'all need to get your shit together. Y'all wasn't doing shit.
Hey Brian, can I ask? I'm assuming 34 is Tisdale. Could he have taken a better angle there?
Brian. We lost Brian. Wonderful.
Oh, dang it.
Well, hey guys, the Lakers still doing good. Brian will be back.
He'll be back. Brian, did you get the question in before you got kicked out? And we can't hear you, Mike. Your mic died with you.
People, we are live. We do this on location. So every now and then we have technical difficulties.
Bear with us.
That's okay. We got Superman in the building, Shelton Moss. Stop playing with him.
I've been having technical difficulties all night long, man. I
Check
can see
Brian,
why my
check,
rent's so
check.
cheap.
Back. Am I back? I feel like I'm back.
We're back now.
You're back now,
Did
baby.
you get Sheldon's question about Tisdale? Okay.
Yes, and the answer is yes. So looking here, I mean, he kind of gets caught up with McDonald here. And McDonald, I think, should have went a little bit wider here, and it makes Tisdale's job a little bit harder. But I think if he sees where McDonald is, he should know that now he's going to need to be responsible for the edge, and he doesn't get out there enough. And unfortunately, that gives Black a lot of room to get outside there. It looks like neither of them really knew what they were doing here. If I'm being honest, McDonald doesn't really do a good job of in this case, he's supposed to be kind of wrong arming the puller and keeping outside leverage. He does a piss poor job of doing that. So
Mhm.
And that
Okay.
makes Tisdale's job a lot harder to kind of get over the top and scrape.
Yeah.
I would still say, even though the play design, even if they had defended it perfectly, that is still likely 3-4 yard gain if they even
Right.
defend it perfectly, unless somebody absolutely shoots. Like McDonald's at the pylon and he's coming behind him. You're likely getting out here, probably getting to the 45. And that's those plays that you need, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this is great. Explosive plays are great, right? We need more of them. But we still need the 4 and 5 yarders because of the next play Brian's about to show. If we can do this on 3rd and short every year or 3rd and short during the year, there's going to be a lot of W's in the win column. There's going to be a lot of numbers in the W column, excuse me.
All right.
Because this is
One of those metaphors.
one of those metaphors. Y'all got what I'm saying. But to me, this was like when I remember seeing this play in the game, and then Brian showing me the tape on this is like the play. This is 3rd and 1.
This is what we didn't do well last year
We
at
did.
all in the running
We
game.
shut
We
the
could not
bed to us
convert
last
to
year.
save our ass last year.
But on this one,
But play 4, we got shotgun doubles, wing tight. You're just going to see another split zone here in the short yardage. And solid, successful convert. I mean, this is not a flashy play. And this is kind of, what we kind of do with this a little bit is that, we're not just going to show you the big plays. We got to show some of these things that show improvement and show that there is a little bit of light here. So I'll let it run through one time and then we'll take it a little bit slower. Just a solid, 4 or 5 yard gain there, but a lot of good things here that we didn't necessarily see a lot of last year. Struggled in short yardage. Parker picks up the blitzer here. He recognizes there's probably a check here, but watch him pick up the blitzer coming off the edge. Picks that up there. That play doesn't really do anything if you don't get that block. Good kick by Benji again, coming across the formation, kicking Nelson out again. And then let's look at the solid. Look at the solid double team here with Brody Meadows and Braylon Moore. That's what kind of creates that lane for them.
They eat up Pollard.
Yeah,
push him back.
Pollard gets about 3 or 4 yards off the ball. He got a little nice window there to run through. Makes Benji's job a whole lot easier. He doesn't have to move Cole away there because you get the hole opening up with the double team, which is what you actually want. I mean, the kick is nice. The kick is solid, but it's the double team that really kind of opens that thing up.
I mean, and that's the plays you've got to have.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not sexy, but it's the plays that keep drives going.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think overall we see this, and it's a lot of maroon. But again, with maroon, we were pretty much playing with the first team offensive line.
Yeah.
So that makes you feel good. Again, I feel even better about Brody being the 2 deep because I still think the stuff we saw in Chaplin last year, if that guy's taking growth, and from what we've heard inside spring practice, is he was getting there. He's getting there. And as big and as physical he is, I think it's going to be crazy. Let's get to some other stuff, Brian. What do you want to talk about next?
All right, so we've moved on from the running game. Pretty much everything from here forward is going to be something different than just straight rushes. What we're looking at here is showing some improvement from Wells, both from just delivering the ball to recognition. So that's what we're going to look at now. First play here, I'll just let it kind of go through. We're looking at shotgun doubles wing. It's going to be a kind of a 5-step deep out. This is going to show Wells delivering a very timely throw to Gosnell, and again, showing off some of Gosnell's route running that Shelton was talking about earlier. Like I say, very good route by Gosnell against Delane there, so it's a solid cover. Accurate ball delivered right out of the break. Which
Look at that pocket they got from my boy. It was definitely giving them a little room to throw that thing. Now, it could have been me too, a little bit of my bias. It looked like they did not send as much pressure, and maybe the white team just didn't have the horses to do it, but they didn't send as much pressure on the white team as the maroon team. Just what I see.
Yeah, I think you're right.
The white team's defense didn't pressure the quarterback as much as the maroons team's defense did.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. It was definitely some imbalance there in terms of the calls. And I mean, obviously you got two different people calling each side there. So there could be just, those are the differences there. All right, let's move on to play 6. Let me get that pulled up here. All right. All right, so for play 6, we got trips wing, tight right. This is going to be kind of a seam attack in the passing game. And this is going to be a free play. So Wells recognizes the free play, throws a back shoulder fade up there to Tucker Holloway. So let's go and run that through. Let's take a look at it. And we'll see a few things here. Obviously, Wells recognizes right away he's got a free play. We see, I can't tell who that is that jumps off sides on the end there, but defensive end up at the top jumps off sides. She's got a free play. And we got a seam attack on this side at the bottom. And then we got Holloway running the fade at the top.
Johnson got lost.
Yep. He got turned around. But, I mean, the ball's placed at a pretty good spot.
Yep.
Kind of back shoulder. You like to see it maybe a little bit more outside, but he's got a free play. He took the shot that's going to get him probably the most yards, safest play as well here. So I like the decision, and I think, that shows a little bit of growth from last year, I think, for Wells.
Right.
Didn't panic in the situation, made the right throw, especially since it's 4th and 4. He knows he's got a first down regardless. So just a good situational aware play. And we'll move on to play 7 here as I get that pulled up.
Now, Brian, or while you're pulling that up,
Yep.
is what we've seen here, is this just like RPO, Moorhead, basic plays, or is this a little bit sprinkled on something else?
I mean, these are still kind of similar route concepts to what Moorhead runs. There's a few things here or there that are different. But I mean, these are typical Moorhead styled play calls. Definitely seeing scheme wise, we're going to get to that next.
Okay.
A lot more concepts from Moorhead in this version of the offense than what we saw, I think, at really any point last year.
Okay. I mean, I think we just looking at these plays too as you run this one and we watch it here. Wells.
Yeah, and before I get into that, I mean, let's talk about the Moorhead RPO concepts in general, right? So, we hear RPO get thrown out there a lot. We know kind of what it is, but in the Moorhead system, there's kind of steps that are taken, the quarterback takes to know whether he's throwing it, giving it, or some combination of that. And the first thing he's looking for is there a free access throw? Is there an alert throw where he can just get it out there and get some free yardage? That's what you're looking for first. So if the answer to that is yes, then you're going to throw that. If not, you're going to move to the next step. Next step, is there box or pressure issues? Is the box overloaded? Is there somebody showing blitz pre-snap that could create some issues for you? If the answer is yes, you're going to go ahead and make a check to pass protection, and you're going to throw the pass in that RPO call. If the answer is no, you're going to move to the next step. Then you're going to ID the read defender pre-snap. and determine if they can make the tackle on the ball carrier at or near the line of scrimmage. So if the guy that you're reading, typically in like a 4-3 defense that we're looking at here, that's going to be the outside linebacker to the throw side. If that guy can come up and make a play near or at the line of scrimmage, then you're gonna go with the pass. So if the answer is yes, you're gonna make a perimeter throw or a pitch, whichever the play call is. And if he's kind of outside the box, he's playing that pass leverage, then you're gonna go with that middle run or dive. So that's kind of the progressions that you go through pre-snap. And then obviously you're still also reading that read man during the mesh point at the start of the play. So that's kind of what the progressions are for the quarterback in terms of the run pass option in the Moorhead system.
Okay.
So let's start with this play here. Shotgun trips left. We're going to see a bubble RPO. This is going to be Wells. He's going to fake show the dive there. He's going to get it out to his slot receiver there, Berkey. You can see here if you watch, it's really on a one or two person route here. So that's typical of RPOs. You usually have pretty much everybody blocking except for one or two routes within the concept. And then obviously the running back carrying out the run fake or run, depending on what the decision there is. But I'll let it play first so we can look at it some more.
First down.
Yep. And I like the design here.
That was moving.
Yeah, inside run action. You're reading McDonald here. You'll see he's right at the edge of the box. He's not playing leverage on the slot. So that means that's where they're going to look. And it kind of puts those edge and spill defenders in conflict here because McDonald comes up on that run fake. And obviously with this one, you've got, Wells who can take off too in this concept. So you kind of got if McDonald chases the slot after the fake, Wells can keep it and get up the alley. But since McDonald comes up, he's going to make the throw. And you already got your receivers out here to the trip side blocking the two corner, or the corner and the Sam here. So just a good concept, and well executed here. So nothing to really complain about with that.
It's just a good play.
Yeah, really, really good scheme. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about here is kind of going through these scheme concepts and seeing how Tyler Bowen is doing a good job of getting guys in positions to make some plays in the passing game.
And I think the other piece about that, and I mean, Tyler, you mentioned it, and you might have mentioned it too in the past. We saw nothing but fastballs, it felt like, from Grant Wells last year. That you can't make the fastball throw there. He threw that accurate. He put some touch on it. He made 49's job easy. Catch right around that corner.
Right.
Yep. All right. So we seeing the white team on offense now, guys. White team on offense. And this is another RPO concept. We got shotgun Y off trips left. And we're looking at a RPO kind of 3-step dig. And this is going to be drones to Felton connection. So that's something that we're going to look forward to potentially seeing a whole lot of in the future.
Please.
All right. So right away, if we look here, we got this backer. He's showing blitz. He's up in the box. So right away, pre-snap, that's going to be a shift in the protection, and you're probably going to throw it to the primary outside route here, which is going to be Felton running a dig. Let me actually run it through first, and I'll play it back in slow.
Right on it. There's that explosive play Shelton's been talking about.
Yep, another explosive play. And I like the way this is thrown on time. Drones does a good job of carrying out the fake, getting his feet set, delivering it to Felton. And Felton, good hands, and then running through contact there to get some bonus yards for us.
Right.
And the protection, it wasn't awful. That's about the best I can say about the white
Right.
offensive line. In this case, the protection
Especially
wasn't
compared
awful.
to what it had been.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the defensive end flying off the edge there because they couldn't decide if they're going to
79.
pick up the blitzer or the down lineman there, so they picked up nobody.
70 fucking 9. You better get your shit together.
I tell you, when offensive linemen are thinking too much, they're like, who am I going to get? They always get nobody. Anytime
Right.
you're thinking that much, you're not going to block anybody.
Right.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next one here. Let me get that pulled up, Curtis. I'll let you wax poetic while I'm getting ready. This is a fun one.
This was the fun one, and we've seen him already. And I put honorable mention of MVP of the game got Benji Gosnell. That was the guy I loved the most, and you already saw him with the block. Tally has already complimented his blocking on some of those wraps, just basically stalemating people or wiping people out. This was the big one, and this is why I'm saying when Gallo leaves, or maybe even this year in general, Gosnell and Daquan Wright.
Yeah, legit for sure.
Very legit. Right.
Very legit.
I
love the concept of this because we've already seen, we've talked about, they've thrown swings here early in the game. Shelton talked about, the first play was a swing pass out to Tootin, made Jalen Jones miss in space, got a pretty good game to start things off. We've seen the swing pass a couple other times. And now they've already set that up. And now we get this play here. We got shotgun wide trips left. This is a swing motion tight end angle. So they're going to show the swing motion with the running back, and the tight end, in this case Benji Gosnell, is going to show block, and then he's going to kind of escape on an angle route towards the middle of the field. And I'll let it run here. Unfortunately, don't get a good angle there on the running back motion.
Well, y'all saw this live though.
Yeah, we saw this live. So you can see the running back right here went in motion and then kind of flared out for the bubble. Benji was here. He kind of set up like he was going to block the Sam. You can see a little bit here. Set up like he's blocking the Sam. Then he angled inside there. And right to the middle of the field. Just a perfect play call against that defense.
Got the head around for him.
Yep.
And
got the head around, and then made a guy miss in space. Yep.
Contact. Yep. Good to see Benji just running, man. He's had 2 big injuries, so to see him just playing football is good.
Yep.
Happy for him.
But again, great concept here. Good ball by Wells. Nothing really to complain about here. And like I said, from a scheme concept, really, really good scheme.
Go back just a hair, because you talk about the scheme on that concept. I'll tell you when to pause, because this is what I notice. And again, I'm the casual here. Pause it, not yet. Let it go a little further. Let it get further into the play. Right there. Pause it. Even if Jenkins goes with him perfectly, look at that. Look how wide open in the amount of space. And I don't know if that's Basil Tootin or somebody or Black or Duke. Look at that space. Look, there is no one within 12 yards of him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is also showing you how when you attack laterally, you can set things up in the middle of the field. You stretch the defense out, and then you exploit them in the middle.
So for the people, too,
I could also
go ahead, Shelton.
Just to add, you mentioned attacking the middle. I could add to that a little bit. So I do have a kind of a niche stat for you. Fuentes last year here, 2021. If you look at percentage of passes thrown between the numbers, 1 to 19 yards downfield. So basically, from where the 40 is marked, 1 to 19 yards downfield, what you would call an intermediate pass. We ranked, I think, 129th out of 130 FBS teams. So basically, in the last couple of years of Fuente, we never ever threw the ball over the middle. You didn't see a lot of RPO slants or any stuff. As you said, the reason that you want to do that is just to keep defenses honest, so that they can't just the linebackers can't just ignore that part of the field. So I like what we're seeing here from from Bowen. RPOs, slants, all that stuff to try to target the middle of the field, because that just didn't happen under Fuente the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you're not the first person to bitch about this on this program, because man, did I bitch about not attacking the middle of the field for at least 3 years.
At least 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it was bad.
It was real bad.
Well, we talk about on here the layups a lot of times. Some of these plays are not like super,
Nope,
like fancy. You know what I'm saying? You just, like Shelton just said, like Brian said, sometimes you just got to take the layups. If the middle of the field is open, put the ball there. You know, have a player there, and we just sometimes like we haven't done that, especially now when Fuente was here. Like it was like they were so set, and the more we found out was they were like one read, throw the ball to that receiver, and if that receiver ain't open, you run it. Like, come on.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, like I think in order to throw the ball over the middle, you do have to have a strong arm quarterback who can make reads. And obviously, Braxton Burmeister was not that. But at the same time, again, you can't just like completely ignore it, because if you do, then like the linebackers just aren't going to respect that part of the field, and they can cheat over. So.
Oh man, we got a white team showing here again.
White team back. Yeah.
Let's go back to what Shelton said. White team, even though they put 0 points on the board, they did have some good drives and some very good plays. Again, we compare last year to this year, they actually did something. So what's this one, Brian?
Yeah, so this is we're actually going to start looking at the next few plays are going to be kind of highlighting some of the good plays from some of the newcomers here. So first play here is shotgun Y off, trips right. You're looking at an RPO kind of 3-step slant. We're going drones to Felton in very tight coverage by Dorian Strong here. Just a solid play, and something like Shelton said that we didn't see a lot under the previous regime, or really a whole lot last year. Kind of full stop. So I'll let it run first, and then we'll look at it more.
Boom.
Number 18 is a freshman, y'all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And that he is hitting a big man.
And Felton is a big dude.
Big dude.
that's a whole lot of man coming at wide receiver there. Pre-snap, you see we got a heavy box here. So this is going to be pretty much a default pass play all the way. Based on the Moorhead rules there. Very accurate throw in tight coverage from drones here. And also probably some of the best protection he'd gotten to that point.
I was just about to say that, Brian. Like, again, drones did not have a good day, so I'm not advocating for him on that. But his pocket was so nasty the whole game. This was one of the cleaner pockets that he had. And you can see he has some skill being able to deliver that ball in tight coverage.
Well, his best plays are play action 3-step drops, which tells me that he's working on influencing the linebackers and getting the ball in his hands quick, because he did not have time to get a 5-step drop in there and sit in the pocket. But again, this is probably the best that line looked. Again, you get some run action there. Actually, a good job of the the guard over here peeling off and picking up number 41 there to kind of finish things off. And again, that's a good ball in very tight coverage by Strong. Strong hands by Felton.
Yep.
Strong. Yeah.
Yeah, strong hands by Felton to pull it in, and then, finishes the run by running through the safety.
That's another 2 yards after you would be stopped. That makes a difference in a game when you're falling forward.
Yep, I think Felton, as far as the newcomers, probably had the best game from a wide receiver standpoint. So he went out there and kind of hung his nuts a little bit, especially as that second quarter ran down. He had some good run there. I like the concept. Again, we're looking at more RPO. We've seen a lot of RPO elements in this little short number of clips we've looked at so far. So
another thing too to highlight is that, like, you got to be, a lot of wide receivers do not want to go over the middle. We've had a lot of thin wide receivers. Like, we loved Trey. Trey was very thin, when he was a wide receiver here. And last year just was what it was. But to have a wide receiver that can go over the middle and get some catches there is going to be big for us, because that's a possession type play.
Yep. And the next one we got here, we got shotgun spread flex right. This is just going to be a swing pass. And what I like here is something we didn't see last year. Hopefully we see Wells improve on this, but this is a good example of drones having some really good touch on a ball, some of those short routes. I love the way he gives Thomas a great opportunity to get upfield and get some good yardage on this. So I'll run it through and we can watch it.
Nice touch.
Pretty good blocking out there on the outside.
Yep.
Yep.
At least giving him somewhere to go.
Yep. He had to put a good touch on that pass because of the pressure on that side.
Yep. So you got pressure coming off the edge. Good pickup. Well, good pickup by one player on the right there, but not a great pickup by. So here's what it looks like to me.
The freshman. That was Ganam right there. That was your true freshman just completely whiffing.
So something happened because Ganam's acted like he got a fan call and nobody else is fanning. So Ganam's he's kicking out to get the blitzer, but he just lets the down man just run by him, free run to the quarterback.
Right to the quarterback.
But again, look at Drones in his face. He doesn't fire it, touches it.
Yeah,
just get the ball where Malachi can run.
That definitely shows some poise there to kind of get a good ball on there and
doesn't break.
Put enough arc on it to where the blitzer can't kind of jump up and get his hands on it. Puts it right where it needs to be for Thomas to catch and run. I mean, a whole lot to like about that play, even though it's only about
a play.
9-yard gain there, 10-yard gain. But I mean, it's moving the sticks and giving us another opportunity to put some points on the board. So,
yeah, good blocking by Felton. We need more of that this year because I don't think it was very good last year.
I have a feeling just looking at Felton. I think Felton likes to block. I mean, seriously, watching that play, like it looked like he enjoyed it.
Yeah,
there's some wideouts just he's got the body for it. And sometimes that's it. This is the next one's just one of my favorite passes by Drones because there ain't many people can do this shit right here.
Yeah, and this is a big one. So we got this play here: shotgun doubles wing, tight right. The play is going to be a mesh running back wheel. And you're going to see Drones get the ball to Coney in a very tight window for a big gain. So I'll let it run first, and then we'll look at it again.
To back that up,
I like Coney.
Yeah, it's still doing some. I mean, and the staff likes him too, and
true freshman.
Yep.
Hadn't even seen the.
All right, let's look at the protection. Let's look at the protection here. That decent protection. You'll see the mesh here. I mean, you're either throwing the wheel or you're throwing to Jennings kind of on the shallow cross here. That's going to be your 1 and 2 reads. So read 1 he had a good window. It was going to be tight, but he had it there. Delivered a solid ball. Gets it there just in time for Coney to break the tackle and make a good run.
I just love that throw.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Brian?
Yeah.
So how would you assess the depth or the angle of the route that he took? Because I feel like if that linebacker did his homework and maybe knew the play was coming, or if he was just a little bit faster, that could potentially be a pick six.
Yeah. So I think based on where the backer was, that's a very tight throw to make. I think if you had a backer that had more knowledge and ability there, that's a dangerous throw to make. I think situationally, it's not a bad decision there. It's one of those that could be either a catch for you or an incompletion, given what the linebacker is showing right here. But yeah, a more competent linebacker would have been able to make a play here.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go other side of that. A more confident linebacker might have tried to jump it, and they don't get a hand on Coney. Because this would have been a bigger run if I don't know. I know that's a walk on. I'm pretty sure it is. Get a number there when you run the play. That's George Balance.
Hey. All right. So,
but my point is just flip side. You're right, Sheldon. Somebody could throw that to a pick six, but if they don't make it, balance goes to the player, not the ball. He's not thinking about the pick. And what he does is he gets that hand on him just for a second to slow Coney's momentum. He doesn't do that. He tries to go for the ball, and he gets in there. That free safety, right? Funny, go with your cursor. The free safety.
Well, this turns out to a big gain because
it's a huge gain anyway. But you imagine him not
the mesh routes from the Raiders carrying pretty much everybody but Balance to the middle of the field.
Yep. 35 comes over, makes the tackle. But what I'm saying is he slowed his momentum down.
Yeah.
It's a foot race if he doesn't hit him.
Yeah, but I definitely agree with Sheldon's point. I mean, there are a lot of linebackers that could make that play.
Oh, yeah, there are. 1,000%.
Yep.
What's the next one?
And, let's look at this before we move on to the next one real quick. He's got Jennings if he wants Jennings. So, I mean, if this is a linebacker that's more capable, the play is still a good play call because the concept, you're still having Jennings coming free underneath here on the cross. So you're still getting, he's probably going to catch it right there at the hash. He's going to get 7-8 yards on that. All right. Next play is a fun one. We get to see our buddy Pot Watson.
This is the touchdown throw.
This is the big touchdown. So we got on this one, it's a shotgun doubles wing. We got a bubble go route concept here. It's going to be Pop taking a deep shot to Tucker Holloway out there at the top. And I'll let it run through here. He kind of that swing action, influence the defense. Tucker with the one-on-one, beats his man.
I wish we could see up top there what happened. Do y'all remember? Was it a slip? Was it just?
He got turned around a little bit in the top. Okay. when he's spinning his hips. He got a little loose and lost Tucker.
Okay.
And I mean, this is another,
I mean, you may have a little hold in there too. Who is that up at top? 75.
Yeah, a little bit.
Might have a little hold.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, Schick held a little bit here. I think they let this one go. He was a little slow getting across. It really took a bad angle, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
He needs to be flatter with that. He comes too far upfield.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is one that the go wasn't the primary. This is supposed to be a swing kind of all the way. You can tell by what the other receivers are doing. So the swing is actually the primary here. See him look at the swing, see it's not there. See where his eyes went. I mean, he threw off his back foot because, Schick didn't do a great job of getting across there, but hard to argue with the 40-yard score.
Right.
All right. And we're going to get one here that's our other true freshman quarterback. Curtis left us. He ran away.
Dang, Curtis, what are you doing?
Maybe had to pee.
Knowing Curtis, that's it.
That's happened. Yes, that happened right there.
Well, Shelton gets the point there. Shelton gets the point. All right, so we got this one formation. We got shotgun spread.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say the plays are gonna be a go X curl. And Whitkey's gonna take a deep ball shot to Sutton that we should have had a touchdown on here on 3rd and 13. So I'll let it run. Let me get it on the screen first. That would make more.
Add
more
it in,
sense,
add
wouldn't
it in.
Here we go.
Oh.
That hurts your heart. That hurts your heart. All right, so let's talk about this. We got stunts on both sides of the defensive line here, and the offensive line just watches them happen and does absolutely nothing. So we can watch that real quick. We got stunt, and we're just gonna watch, guys. We're just gonna what's going on here? Why are 4 guys surrounding one guy? Let's not do that. We shouldn't do that. That shouldn't be happening.
Look, care if it's Dylan and Whitkey back there. Don't get the freshman killed, for God's sake.
I mean, but this is a good ball with 3 guys bearing down on him.
You're gonna get killed.
Puts it right on his hands in the end zone. I mean, the only thing I'd like to see from him is that based on where Sutton's running this route, I'd like to see the ball delivered right on the hash instead of back outside of it, because it gives the receiver a chance to run through it instead of having to bend back. That makes the catch a little bit harder. But I mean, that's really the only thing other than not catching it that I would critique there. But you got to bring that in. It's on your hands.
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to say, and y'all give me your viewpoints on this. Watching this tape, watching the concepts, watching things that they want done, it feels leaps and bounds. It feels leaps and bounds of where we were a year ago.
It feels competent. It feels like we look like we know what we're doing.
There you go.
Like even when we're not executing, it looks like we know what we're doing.
And
does that make sense?
It does. And then the other piece that we've said on here, and I think all of us in some way have said it is, okay, yeah, Tyler Bowen's never coached quarterbacks before. This is Tyler Bowen's system that basically, almost 9 years? This has been his system, right?
And this is truly his baby this year versus last year, where I feel like there was kind of too many cooks in the kitchen. You had some of what Glenn wanted to do kind of sprinkled in there in the pass game. You had some of what Rudolph wanted to do sprinkled in the run game. This is truly Tyler Bowen's baby this year, and you can actually see his handprints and fingerprints and everything on this offense. And I don't feel like we saw as much cohesive identity last year. We saw pieces here and there, but we didn't see a cohesive identity. I saw more of that in the spring game than at any point on offense last year.
Right. What's this one, Brian?
All right, so this one here, we got a shotgun Y off trips right. It's going to be an X cross Z comeback. And Drones is going to throw off his back foot incomplete. So this is one where, we'll be a little bit hard on Drones, but this is also a little bit on the offensive line too. And let's run it back here. Drones is going to get a little bit of pressure here in his face at the last minute. Can't step up.
That's a long throw.
That is a long throw.
Yep. It's a long throw that you're not taking a full step into. Look, it takes like a half step into it as he's releasing.
Kind
he's
of
not
a
taking a full.
too.
Yeah, it's out of sidearm.
Yeah. He's trying to bend it around the defender while taking only a half step into it. Not the throw you want to make there, but it's a safe throw. I mean, it's not a throw that's going to create a turnover. So
damn near gets it there too.
And the other thing here is that he really has his pick here because Jennings is running wide the fuck open too. That's his second read here.
Wide open. I think the hand goes up as he throws the ball.
Yep.
Hand went up. Here. Oh, man.
And I mean, both are probably getting about the same amount of yardage, depending on the catch there. And depending on whether 40 can get to Jennings. Whether Jennings has the angle or not. But I mean, this is one where you see the concepts. Concepts are good. It's there. just got to execute better on the offensive line, and you got to be able to make that throw. It's a hard throw to make, but when you're that open, you got to be able to get it there.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw Bowen call that play against ODU. Is that zone coverage, Brian?
Yes, it was.
Okay, yeah, because I saw the linebacker kind of pass off the crosser to the next guy over. So there's obviously miscommunication there, but that's a good zone beating play.
Exactly. Crossers are great for that. All right, so let me pull up the next one here. We got 4 more.
Well, the next one is our pivot.
This is our pivot. Yeah, we're looking. This is kind of the last one for the newcomers, and then we're going to kind of pivot into the defensive highlights here. Setting this up, I'll go ahead and share it here. We've got a shotgun doubles wing. It's going to be a split zone RPO slant, and Drones is going to try to get it to Jennings. It's going to be a little bit of a tighter window than he expected. There's going to be a little bobble INT. We'll let it run through here first. All right, so this is one of those where, we talked about the rules earlier. This is one where the rules kind of unfortunately put you in a bad spot. All right, so pre-snap, look at this box. Your RPO routes over here. You got defenders across the board. Your read man's here. Based on those, you should say, all right, we're throwing this. What we get though is we get the safety rolling up and replacing that backer zone. So we got a little zone blitz. So what happens here is that now you're throwing a slant right into where the safety's creeping into that zone. So the window got significantly tighter than what you anticipated.
But the throw is made.
Throw is still made. It's slightly behind, probably a little bit earlier than you would want to make that throw normally.
But catchable.
But catchable. You get a bobble here. Doesn't quite pull it in, doesn't secure it. And then you get
Mr. Phillips.
You get Most Phillips coming in there, and true freshman gets his first interception as a Hokie. So
yeah. Brian, I love me and you talked about this one. Me and Brian looked at this one. Sorry, Tally. It was one of those days you could hop on with us. We looked at this one in depth. And the reason I love this play from both sides is the play call on defense is really good. It takes it away. But the throw by Drones, I mean, that's on the money. It's still a good route ran by Jennings, even though he kind of coughed it up. But the bigger part on this is Phillips at true freshman. And this is where it goes, where we're kind of leading to the defense. He starts going that way. He doesn't stop. That ball's tipped. He doesn't stop right here. He keeps going. And he gets his pick. How many times do you see it in games where guys stop, the ball hits the ground, and they're like, oh, what'd I do? You stop. That's why.
We kept going, and also he immediately looked to get upfield. And I think, I don't know, like the latter part of the Fuente DBs, it seemed like they got an interception and didn't know what the fuck to do.
Right.
He knew he needed to get upfield, get some yards. I like that. I like that. And then he sees, hey, I'm trapped in here. Let's get out of bounds. Let's get a nice little late hit there. I respect that little blind side. I mean, I'm headhunting if there's a pick, so I get it. That's what I want to do. Now, as an offensive lineman, I did not like those shots. You get a little ear hole shot. You definitely feel that for a little bit. All right. So first, primarily defensive play here. We got a couple that are kind of the bigger plays here, and then we got one that is a little more nuanced. So that's kind of the middle one here that we'll sandwich.
Got 3 left. We're going on 2 hours. Only a few more minutes to wrap up tonight.
Yeah. We're good. All right. So we're going to get this in here. This is play 17. We got shotgun doubles wing tight right. It's going to be a sprint slot cross play action. And we're going to see Stroman make an absolutely incredible instinctual play here.
Stroman covered some ground on the play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Stroman said, 40's not going to make this. I got to make this. Because Stroman's is playing in the deep here. He's playing middle deep. He's playing that cover one. He recognizes 40 ain't going to get to Jennings. So he gets to Jennings.
Yep.
That's just an incredible individual effort and also incredible instincts to kind of recognize what's there and what you need to do to get a play. I mean, that's something that turns into, potentially a touchdown, but definitely a first down and goal for White. And now all of a sudden you get the ball back.
Right. Canteen, right place, right time.
Canteen, right place, right time. Canteen in good coverage on Felton on the top there.
Right.
To kind of piggyback on that. Good coverage, good placement there. And because he's in good coverage and good placement, he's there for the pick.
When they get these picks, they trying to get gone with it.
They turning and running, man. They're turning and running.
Yep.
Turn and burn.
They cheat us.
I like it.
You say.
They get that prey in their mouth. They going.
I like it.
This is the one now. This is the one that you said is a little more nuanced. So let you
a little more new. And this is something that I'm glad to see from a guy that I feel like we need to see it from. All right, so the play we got is shotgun, doubles wings, tight left. It's going to be a split zone, play action, sprint, X cross. And we're going to see just a standard incomplete pass. But I want you to watch Keller.
Where is he?
On this play.
Point him out first. Point him out. Where is he? There? Okay.
Yep. All right. So, this is the linebackers are in zone here. It's just to give you a little heads up. So watch the play. This is just a little thing. It's not a big thing, but it's a little thing. So you got the split zone, tight end's coming across. He's not blocking though. He's going out in the route. You see Keller's kind of pressing that a little bit. Watch him pass this off and give some depth. Right there. And he does just enough to make that window a lot tighter for that throw, where he's got to sail it high instead of throwing it out in front of Jennings. Because if drones can deliver that out in front, that could be a complete pass. It's still good coverage, but you put it in a spot where it's easier to catch. You throw it high and a little bit in, now it's an incomplete pass. So that's just a little nuance there, showing how a guy that has shown athletic ability, but didn't always pick up the concept of the defense as well as they would have liked to last year. That's showing growth by Keller there. So I like that. I wanted to kind of highlight that a little bit.
Nice.
And last one here, guys.
Last one before we wrap it up tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is from somebody who did not go to the portal. One of our young ends here.
It's the Beggars.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got shotgun Y off trips right. This is going to be a duo RPO slant. And you're going to see Burgos on a stunt. It doesn't get home. Stays in the play. Gets a tip. Forces an interception. And I know that happened quick, so I'm going to run that back pretty slow here for you.
We do not have it on screen yet. There we go.
So Burgos is outside. He's stunting inside here.
If you can't get there, get your hands up.
can't get there, gets kind of caught in the wash, but sees the pass, gets his hand up. Little tip that slows it down just enough. Looks like, I mean, that could have been an incomplete, could have been a complete pass to Felton there coming across, but because of the tip, slows in the traffic there. And we got Miles Ellis getting an easy pick here. He's playing underneath of that slant because he's got help over the top. So as Felton breaks inside, he's kind of playing underneath that. And right place, right time for that tip.
Shout out RVA's own Deep
Yes,
Run
sir.
High School, Miles Ellis.
But that's all, ladies and gentlemen. That's our 19 play spring game breakdown, kind of going through some new faces, some Wells improvements, some scheme things, and a little bit of defense.
All right, y'all. Now let's just go a quick round. Brian, you've looked at it. We'll get your opinion last here. Shelton, just looking at this tape and just seeing some of the stuff more in depth. Brian did awesome on this. He gave us some great notes to look at too as we were reviewing these things. Kudos to him. What's the one thing you feel good about going into the season now seeing this?
Definitely the skill players. I mean, you look at Gosnell, Holloway, Shelton, Jennings. I think obviously Jennings didn't play, but I think we've really ramped up the wide receiver room, which, in my opinion, was the biggest weak spot on the team last year. We've done a really good job of retooling that room. Running backs are better. Tight ends. We'll see about them. But just the skill players. That's been a huge upgrade. So I think we can get guys out in space and have them make plays. Like you said, explosive plays are one thing, but you got to be able to get those consistent, plays where you can, keep ahead of the sticks. Don't fall on the sticks because that was a big issue last year. I think overall, just the level of skill is much improved from last year.
Tally?
Yeah, similar to what Shelton said, man. It's kind of like what I hit on earlier, just the wide receivers in the skill positions. I mean, we have a lot of different type pass catchers. Some people that are not afraid to go across the middle, some tight ends that can get some separation, some tight ends that can block, some big receivers that can be possession receivers. So watching this, you kind of seeing all that stuff on display, and it's exciting.
Yep. I'm with y'all on that, but it's these guys going into the scheme we're getting them into.
Yeah.
That there's going to be creations where you saw that drag where Jennings was open a couple times, those digs where it's voiding spaces where throws can be made. And when you break it down like Brian did for us tonight, and if you're listening to this on the podcast, I should have did this at the beginning. You got to go to YouTube. You got to sync it up with YouTube if you're listening on the podcast to see the plays. But you see the manipulation of how if these guys are coming up and making these easy throws, eventually you pop a couple slants, a couple digs, they're going to start backing off, right? And I think with Tuden and Thomas, I think we can get the run game going from that. Brian, what do you want to wrap it up with here before we call it?
Yeah, the big thing for me, just like you said, the scheme is standing out because if you're not using the talent that you have, again, I'm glad that we're ratcheting up the talent in the skill position, but if you're not going to get those guys the ball in spaces where they can make plays, then you're still going to be a struggle. So I like to see the scheme is coming hand in hand with the ratchet up in skill level. And I think that's going to pay big dividends because, we're already seeing some improvement without a full complement with a split roster compared to what we saw last year. We get a full complement of first teamers out there and really kind of let some of the guys that had to sit for the spring game get out there and show what they can do. I feel like we got weapons all over the place now.
We do.
But with Benji coming on, you saw some good things from him in the spring game. You got Wright that didn't even play. You got Lane that didn't even play.
Yeah.
Lane didn't play.
I mean, we got skill guys that didn't even play that are one of them being a big part of last year's offense comparatively. And and we saw that much improvement. And like I said, I think the big thing is the scheme and not just like I was talking about with seeing some new elements, but also again, it being cohesive. I feel like last year, again, it was a mixed bag. There were pieces there, but nothing really fit together. I feel like we saw schemes that fit together, and they were attacking the defense in a way that made sense, in a way that put them in conflict consistently.
Right.
That's always a key. Put them in conflict consistently. And with that being said, we go over 2 hours tonight. We thank y'all for watching us out there. It does wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by the Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Lakers in 5.
Shelton Moss.
Visit our website, boundarycornervt.com, to listen to all of our episodes and take a look at the merchandise shop while you're there at the Boundary Corner store. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Very important for this episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go look at all the tape Brian put together here. Also, your favorite podcast source, Spotify, Amazon. What other there? Apple Podcasts. Anything you can think of. Podcast-wise, we are on. As always, we let our buddy down in the NRV, Jason Long. He plays us in. He plays us out every week. Check him out. I know he's going to be at the Grandin Farmers Market off and on all during the summer down in Roanoke, so definitely take a look at him there. Go to his website, jasonlongmusic.com. We'll link you to all of his stuff, including his Apple and Spotify, and his YouTube and Facebook pages. We thank you for listening. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.
Hokies.
Hokies.